Have you ever felt the world around you isn't quite what it seems? That reality itself might be more flexible, more mysterious than anyone dares to admit. Imagine discovering ancient secrets that teach you to bend your beliefs, awaken a hidden spark of divinity within, or travel beyond your own body to realms unseen. Today, we're embarking on a journey through the arcane worlds of chaos magic, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and beyond. We'll unravel esoteric traditions that whisper of gods forgotten, stars unseen, and knowledge so powerful it can transform your life. From the sacred forests of Africa to the mystical mountains of Asia, we'll reveal teachings that defy ordinary understanding and invite you to see existence through an entirely new lens. Get ready to unlock doors you never knew existed, because once you cross this threshold, reality will never look the same again. Africa's esoteric traditions are among the oldest and most profound on Earth, yet they're often overlooked or misunderstood by the Western world. These mystical systems contain a deep reverence for the invisible forces that shape life, a profound understanding of spiritual interconnectedness, and practical techniques for healing, divination, and transformation. At the heart of many African spiritual traditions is the belief that the universe is alive with spirit, and that every person, animal, tree, river, and stone possesses Ace, the divine life force flowing through all things. Among the Yoruba of West Africa, Ace is the power to create, change, and manifest. It's honored through ritual, song, dance, and offerings, and is central to communicating with the Orishas, powerful spiritual entities representing aspects of nature and human experience. Each Orisha embodies a cosmic principle: Ogun, the fierce spirit of iron, technology, and war; Yemoja, the nurturing mother of the oceans; Shango, the thunderous lord of lightning and justice. By aligning with an Orisha's energy through ceremonies involving drumming, chanting, and ecstatic dance, practitioners can receive protection, guidance, or healing. In the Dagara tradition of Burkina Faso, as taught by spiritual elder Maladoma Some, divination with cowrie shells or natural objects helps people identify imbalances in their lives, reconnect with ancestral spirits, and restore harmony between the individual, the community, and the earth. Dagara cosmology teaches that everyone has a spiritual purpose, and that illness often arises from disconnection from that purpose, or from unresolved ancestral issues. Among the Dogon people of Mali, cosmology reaches astonishing depths. The Dogon's intricate stories of the star system Sirius, including knowledge of Sirius B, an invisible star only confirmed by Western astronomers in the 20th century, have fascinated scholars and sparked debate. The Dogon describe beings called the Nomo, amphibious entities said to have descended from Sirius to impart knowledge of astronomy, agriculture, and spirituality. Whether interpreted literally or symbolically, these teachings point to an ancient, sophisticated understanding of the cosmos. In southern Africa, the San people, one of humanity's oldest cultural groups, practice trance dancing to journey into the spirit world. San shamans enter altered states by dancing around a fire for hours, drawing power into their inoinam, spiritual energy, until it boils, allowing their spirit to leave the body. In these states, they can heal the sick, receive visions, or communicate with animal spirits, practices that go back tens of thousands of years. East Africa also holds rich esoteric knowledge. In Ethiopia, ancient traditions of Tsar spirit possession involve women and men entering trance to negotiate with spirits who may cause misfortune or illness. Through music, drumming, incense, and ritual, these ceremonies restore balance between humans and the spirit world, highlighting a complex relationship with unseen forces. African spiritual systems emphasize ancestral reverence as a cornerstone of life. Ancestors are not gone, but continue to guide, protect, and interact with the living. Libations of water, palm wine, or food are offered during ceremonies to honor them, ask for blessings, and maintain the sacred chain connecting past, present, and future generations. African esoteric traditions also preserve deep herbal knowledge, blending physical and spiritual healing. Traditional healers, known as Ngangas, Babalawos, or Sangomas, use plants for medicine and rituals, understanding not only their pharmacological effects, but also their spiritual properties. These healers act as mediators between the worlds, diagnosing spiritual causes of illness and prescribing treatments that address body, mind, and soul. Despite centuries of colonial oppression and religious persecution, African esoteric wisdom endures, adapting while preserving its core truths. In recent decades, a renaissance of African spirituality is taking place, with practitioners worldwide embracing these ancestral traditions to reconnect with the sacred web of life. These traditions remind us that life is not limited to what we see, that every moment is connected to a larger cosmic dance of spirits, ancestors, and forces of nature. African esoteric wisdom invites us to step into a world where everything is alive, everything has meaning, and every heartbeat echoes the song of creation. Alchemy is an ancient art that lies at the crossroads of science, mysticism, and philosophy. It's often remembered as the quest to turn lead into gold. But alchemy is far more profound. It's the pursuit of transformation, of matter, of spirit, and of the very self. The roots of alchemy stretch back to ancient Egypt, where priests in Kemet developed techniques of metallurgy and medicine under the name Chemia, meaning the Black Land, after the rich Nile soil. Egyptian alchemists believed that metals grew inside the earth like living beings, and that by understanding this secret process, humans could speed up or perfect nature's work. From Egypt, alchemy spread to Greece, evolving into Hellenistic alchemy, where philosophers like Zosimos of Panopolis described both practical chemical operations and mystical visions. Zosimos wrote of dreams where bodies were dissolved in fiery cauldrons, a metaphor for purifying the soul through suffering and insight. Alchemy later flourished in the Islamic Golden Age, with Arabic scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan, known in the West as Geber, who codified laboratory techniques such as distillation, crystallization, and calcination. These methods weren't just about changing metals. They reflected the alchemical motto, solve et coagula, dissolve and recombine, mirroring the process of breaking down the old self to build something new. The four classical elements, earth, air, fire, and water, formed the foundation of alchemical theory. Alchemists believed all matter was a combination of these elements, and by understanding their balances and oppositions, they could transmute one substance into another. Yet beyond physical change, the deeper goal was spiritual purification, leading to the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance said to grant immortality, perfect health, and enlightenment. During the European Middle Ages and Renaissance, alchemy became a bridge between emerging science and ancient mysticism. Figures like Paracelsus revolutionized medicine by applying alchemical principles to healing, insisting that the human body was a microcosm of the universe and that illness was a sign of disharmony between the two. One of history's most fascinating alchemists, Isaac Newton, spent more time studying alchemy in secret than he did on physics. His notebooks reveal an obsession with deciphering coded alchemical texts, convinced that understanding the Philosopher's Stone could unlock not just wealth, but the deepest truths of the cosmos. Beyond Europe and the Middle East, alchemy also developed rich traditions in Asia. In Chinese Taoist alchemy, practitioners sought the elixir of immortality, combining herbs, minerals, and meditative practices to refine both body and spirit. Chinese alchemy focused on internal transformation through qigong, breathwork, and energy cultivation, aiming for harmony with the Tao, the natural order of the universe. In Indian alchemy, known as Rasayana, yogis and Ayurvedic physicians blended minerals, plants, and sacred rites to rejuvenate the body and extend life. Rasayana wasn't just material. It emphasized moral and spiritual purity, teaching that only those who mastered their desires and practiced compassion could harness alchemy's full power. Alchemy's symbols, like the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, capture its central idea of eternal cycles of death and rebirth, a cosmic dance reflected in the phases of the moon, the seasons, and the human journey from ignorance to wisdom. In modern times, alchemy's legacy lives on in psychology. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung interpreted alchemical texts as powerful metaphors for inner growth, describing the great work as the process of integrating the conscious and unconscious mind, turning the base metals of our fears and desires into the gold of self-realization. Today, artists, mystics, and seekers continue to draw on alchemical symbolism for inspiration. From spiritual alchemists who use ritual to transmute negative emotions into healing energy, to writers who see storytelling as a form of transformation, the essence of alchemy still invites us to change ourselves, deepen our wisdom, and recognize the sacred patterns hidden in all things. In its truest sense, alchemy teaches that everything, matter, spirit, life itself, is in a constant process of becoming. And within that endless transformation lies the greatest secret of all, that by changing ourselves, we can change the world around us. Chaos magic is a modern, revolutionary approach to the occult that defies all tradition, urging practitioners to throw out rigid rules and instead wield belief itself as a tool, changing it as easily as one would change clothes. Emerging in the late 1970s in the United Kingdom, chaos magic arose in response to the ceremonial magic of the Golden Dawn and the often dogmatic structures of established occult orders. At its core, chaos magic teaches that belief is not a static truth, but a flexible instrument that can be reshaped to achieve specific results. This means a chaos magician, or chaot, doesn't swear lifelong loyalty to any single pantheon, system, or ideology. Instead, they adopt whatever symbols, deities, or archetypes serve their purpose in the moment, discarding them once they've done their work. The origins of chaos magic are closely tied to figures like Peter J. Carroll, co-founder of the Illuminates of Thanateros, IoT, and Ray Sherwin, who popularized the use of sigils, symbols charged with intention, as one of the simplest and most effective techniques of chaos magic. Sigilization involves crafting a personal symbol representing a goal, charging it through altered states of consciousness, and then letting it sink into the subconscious to influence reality without conscious interference. These altered states, often called gnosis, are central to chaos magic practice. Gnosis can be achieved through a variety of methods: deep meditation, intense physical exertion, sensory overload, rhythmic drumming, ecstatic dance, sexual energy, or even techniques like sleep deprivation. The point of these practices is to silence the everyday analytical mind, allowing the subconscious, which chaos magicians believe interfaces directly with the universe, to absorb the magical intent. One of chaos magic's most radical ideas is the meta-belief model, which sees all spiritual, magical, and religious systems as optional frameworks rather than absolute truths. Chaots might use the tarot one day, Norse runes the next, and quantum physics metaphors the day after, recognizing each as a lens through which to shape experience and reality. Chaos magic also introduced the concept of the hyper-sigil, popularized by comic writer and chaos magician Grant Morrison. A hyper-sigil is a complex, ongoing work of art, like a novel, comic, or performance, that functions as an extended magical operation, influencing reality through narrative, symbolism, and personal engagement. Morrison's own comic series, The Invisibles, was designed as a hyper-sigil, intended to shape his life and the culture of the time. Another hallmark of chaos magic is its playful, irreverent spirit. Practitioners often incorporate modern pop culture, using characters like Batman or pop stars as stand-ins for archetypal energies, proving that what matters is effectiveness, not orthodoxy. Chaos magicians understand that the subconscious mind responds to powerful symbols, whether ancient or contemporary. Chaos magic also embraces results-based magic, the idea that the only measure of a technique's validity is whether it achieves the intended outcome. This pragmatic, experimental mindset encourages creativity, self-reliance, and constant adaptation, qualities that resonate strongly with modern seekers disillusioned with rigid dogma. Beyond the UK, chaos magic spread rapidly through underground zines, occult bookstores, and later the internet, where online communities helped shape it into a dynamic, evolving tradition. It's now a global movement practiced by solitary magicians and groups alike, each exploring how to bend reality using the raw power of belief. Chaos magicians often adopt psychological models of magic, viewing spirits, gods, and demons not necessarily as external beings, but as parts of the psyche, or as patterns in the collective unconscious that can be invoked, embodied, or transformed. Yet many chaots keep an open mind. While some see magic as purely psychological, others believe it's an interaction with genuine external forces. Chaos. Magic's philosophy is summed up by two phrases. Nothing is true, everything is permitted, attributed to Hassan I. Sabbah and revived by chaos magicians as a call to radical freedom, and fake it until you make it, reflecting the idea that by temporarily adopting a belief, even one you don't fully accept, you can produce real, tangible results. In the 21st century, chaos magic continues to evolve. Some practitioners merge it with concepts from quantum physics, simulation theory, or cybernetics, exploring new ways to understand the interplay of mind, information, and reality. Others fuse chaos magic with ancestral practices, activism, or art, using it as a tool for both personal and cultural transformation. Ultimately, chaos magic stands as a bold invitation to question everything, to experiment relentlessly, and to remember that the universe is far more malleable and magical than we're taught to believe. Hermeticism is one of the most influential esoteric traditions in Western history, tracing its roots to the writings of Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure who fused the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth, patrons of wisdom, magic, and writing. The texts attributed to Hermes, known as the Hermetica, emerged in Egypt during the Hellenistic period, roughly between the 1st and 3rd centuries CE, when Greek, Egyptian, and Near Eastern cultures blended in a vibrant exchange of mystical ideas. Hermeticism's teachings center on the existence of a single, transcendent, and immanent God, a divine source that creates, sustains, and permeates the entire universe. This God is beyond human comprehension, yet present in every part of creation. From this core belief arises the famous Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without. This principle expresses the idea that the cosmos, macrocosm, and the individual human being, microcosm, mirror each other perfectly, allowing us to understand the universe by exploring our own inner world. The Hermetica covers topics from theology to astrology, alchemy to ethics. One key text, the Corpus Hermeticum, describes dialogues between Hermes and his students on subjects like the nature of God, the mind, the soul's journey, and the structure of the cosmos. These writings describe a universe filled with living forces, ordered by divine intelligence, where everything is connected in a vast web of correspondences. Another foundational Hermetic concept is the nous, or divine mind, the first emanation from the unknowable God. It is through nous that humans can achieve gnosis, direct experiential knowledge of the divine. This knowledge isn't merely intellectual, it is transformative, awakening the soul to its divine origin and purpose. Hermeticism teaches that humans are spiritual beings, temporarily bound to the material world. Through inner purification, meditation, contemplation, and alignment with cosmic laws, we can liberate our divine essence from ignorance and reunite with the source of all being. In this sense, the Hermetic path is not one of blind faith, but of personal experience and spiritual evolution. Alchemy plays a central role in Hermetic tradition, not only as an early form of chemistry, but as a symbolic art of transmutation. The alchemist's quest to turn lead into gold mirrored the spiritual great work, transforming the base elements of the soul into the purified, enlightened self. Hermetic alchemy views every substance and process as a metaphor for inner change, teaching that just as metals can be perfected, so too can the human spirit. Hermetic astrology also reflected the belief that the movements of stars and planets influence earthly life. Yet it emphasized that by knowing these patterns, we can rise above blind fate. Understanding astrology was a way of attuning oneself to the rhythms of the cosmos, living in harmony with celestial cycles to foster spiritual growth. Hermeticism's influence exploded during the Italian Renaissance, when scholars like Marsilio Ficino and Giovanni Pico della Mirandola rediscovered and translated the Hermetic texts. Ficino believed Hermetic wisdom was part of the Prisca Theologia, or ancient theology, a universal spiritual truth passed down from the dawn of humanity. This revived Hermetic philosophy inspired Renaissance art, science, and magic, weaving its ideas into the fabric of European culture. In the 17th century, the mystical movement known as Rosicrucianism drew heavily on Hermetic ideas, proclaiming a secret brotherhood dedicated to spiritual enlightenment and the healing of society. Hermetic principles also influenced Freemasonry, which adopted symbols like the compass, square, and all-seeing eye to convey teachings about the divine order of the universe. By the 19th century, Hermeticism experienced a major revival through occult organizations such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, whose rituals, magical practices, and teachings shaped the modern Western occult tradition. Influential figures like Aleister Crowley incorporated Hermetic principles into new systems of ceremonial magic, ensuring that Hermes' wisdom continued to evolve with the times. Today, Hermeticism endures as both a living spiritual path and a source of profound inspiration. Modern Hermetic practitioners study the Hermetica, practice rituals of purification and meditation, and seek to embody the principle of as above, so below in daily life, recognizing the sacred connection between themselves, nature, and the cosmos. Above all, Hermeticism invites us to view the universe not as a cold, random mechanism, but as a living, divine tapestry, where the quest for self-knowledge and spiritual awakening leads us ever closer to the source of all creation. Gnosticism is a profound and often misunderstood spiritual tradition that emerged in the first few centuries of the Common Era, offering a radically different vision of reality from Orthodox Christianity. The very name, Gnosticism, comes from the Greek word gnosis, meaning knowledge, but not knowledge from books or priests, rather direct inner experiential knowledge of the divine. At the heart of Gnostic thought lies a startling idea that the material world is deeply flawed, even a cosmic prison. Gnostics taught that our physical reality was created not by a benevolent, all-powerful God, but by a lesser ignorant deity known as the Demiurge. This figure, sometimes identified with the Old Testament's wrathful creator, was seen as arrogant and blind, believing itself the highest being while remaining ignorant of the true, transcendent God beyond the material cosmos. This higher God is pure, unknowable, and infinite, residing in the pleroma, or fullness, an eternal realm of light and perfection far beyond the corrupted physical world. According to Gnostic cosmology, divine sparks, fragments of this true God, became trapped in human bodies, bound by the illusions and suffering of material existence. Salvation for the Gnostic is not about faith in external authority, but about awakening these divine sparks within through gnosis, an inner realization of our true spiritual nature and our connection to the infinite. This awakening liberates the soul, breaking the chains of the Demiurge and his archons, cosmic rulers who keep humanity ignorant, and allowing the soul to return to the realm of light. The mythic stories preserved in Gnostic texts are rich and symbolic. In the Sethian tradition, for example, the figure of Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve, is portrayed as a divine hero whose descendants hold the key to Gnosis. Sethian texts describe elaborate cosmic dramas in which beings like Sophia, the embodiment of divine wisdom, fall from the pleroma and give rise to the material world through error, setting in motion the events that trap souls in flesh. Another influential Gnostic school, the Valentinians, founded by Valentinus in the 2nd century, offered an elaborate theology combining Christian ideas with Neoplatonic philosophy. Valentinians described complex hierarchies of aeons, divine emanations of God, and rituals like the bridal chamber, designed to reunite the soul with its spiritual counterpart and restore it to the pleroma. These teachings were preserved in texts like the Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Philip, and Gospel of Truth, many discovered in the mid-20th century at Nag Hammadi in Egypt, a treasure trove of Gnostic writings hidden for 1,600 years. The Gospel of Thomas, for instance, presents Jesus not as a savior through crucifixion, but as a wisdom teacher revealing secret truths about the divine light within. For Gnostics, Christ was the Logos, a divine emissary sent not to die for humanity's sins, but to awaken souls to their true nature and remind them of their forgotten origins beyond the material world. This teaching sharply contrasts with the Orthodox Christian message of salvation through faith in Jesus' sacrificial death. Despite their rich philosophy, Gnostic communities were heavily persecuted by early church authorities, who saw them as heretical threats to doctrinal unity. By the 4th century, most Gnostic sects were driven underground or disappeared, but their ideas survived, hidden in mystical texts and re-emerging in later traditions like medieval Catharism, Renaissance Hermeticism, and even modern spiritual movements. Some scholars suggest Gnosticism shares deep parallels with Eastern philosophies like Buddhism, which also teaches that the material world is a realm of illusion, Maya, and that liberation comes through direct insight into ultimate reality. Both paths emphasize self-knowledge, inner transformation, and release from cycles of suffering. Today, Gnostic ideas inspire seekers disillusioned with rigid dogma, offering an alternative vision of spirituality focused on personal experience, cosmic myth, and the belief that divinity resides within each of us. Gnosticism reminds us that awakening is not found in blind obedience, but in the courageous journey inward, where the ultimate truths of light and freedom lie, waiting to be discovered.